All right, very quick of my bookshelf tours. We're just going to do a couple of random comics. We've got a couple of bits of floppies from Alan Moore, his V for Vendetta series. These are probably reprints because, good lord, but yeah, it's volume 2, volume VI of X, Alan Moore, and V for Vendetta made into an okay movie that kind of probably lost the point of the revolution and Big Brother and the just the Guy Fawkes plot of blowing up Parliament, but maybe this time blowing up Parliament for the right reason. Yeah, Alan Moore, interesting fellow, and cool little floppies of that series. And then we oh, there's one more. Yeah, very odd, interesting covers. Definitely a lot different than the very kind of slick packaging for V for Vendetta with that, that Guy Fawkes mask that is now been used by so many protesters, and still is. So it's definitely had a echo effect, even though I don't know if it's might actually be what Alan Moore is sort of going for. I get the sense of an anarchist kind of vibe in him, but not anarchist in I want to make everything burn, but more of a deeply felt philosophical anarchism, which I probably couldn't actually even give you a proper definition of if I tried. And then slipping over into Swmp Thing, where he took what was very kind of cheesy pulp concept of a swamp monster and turned it into this kind of embodiment of nature, yeah, did that quite the thing. Yeah, him with Bissett. Yes, yeah. I'll at some point I'll probably find the collections of Swmp Thing, because I think I did actually, yeah, I did get some collections of Swmp Thing. And then we have David Collier again. I do have a good bit of his stuff. Collier's Seattle sketchbook, so like sketches of Seattle. Him with the thing about Grywl, who is maybe one of the first things of Grywl when he was alive in his time, which was the 40s and 50s, maybe earlier than that, maybe the 30s, judging by the lady here. Was he put himself forward as this Native American and kind of a naturalist and stuff like that. It actually turned out he was a Brit who had put on the disguise, the persona of Grywl, and was sort of peddling in a way, which is what's happened with a lot of stuff. I mean, it's probably a good example of appropriation if you want to get as much bold-faced appropriation of someone taking somebody else's culture and profiting from it, maybe trying to put a message. It'd be interesting to look at that. We've got, yeah, your phony cigar store Indian, which, I mean, definitely put himself forward as that kind of a thing. Yeah, the life of Grywl. It was a day like this in 1938 when Grywl died. He died, and then all these government bureaucrats got into the picture. He was to be buried in the national park, they said, way the hell up there beside his cabin. A posse of park wardens was assigned to do the deed, but instead of making all the trip and digging a grave in the rocky, solid, frozen ground, some people around here say that they just filled in his coffin full of rocks, hacked a hole in the ice, and shoved him into the Kingsmere Lake. So long, asshole, we never liked you anyways. Haha, that's a good story. I guess he wasn't thought of too highly at home, despite being an international known author. Now, people around here didn't know too much from books. All they knew of Grywl was this stoner they saw staggering out of the bar in Prince Albert. Just another drunk Indian, they'd say. That's weird for me, is that he lived that way. He did without people ever knowing what he was. It was just lucky he never got outed. And that was indeed the thing, because he had a hell of a secret to carry around, something that almost no one knew about, even when he was famous around the world. The modern Hiawatha, the press called him. "What brings you to England, Mr. Grywl?" "I've come to speak of my land, a great vast war zone." It was the last battleground of the long, drawn-out, bitter contest between civilization and the forces of nature. Yeah, see, and he was British. He was actually a Brit, but somebody who put himself forward as someone talking about native issues, maybe, and also kind of perpetuating kind of that whole romantic idea of the native, which is, something that native people today are still trying to undo. So yeah, David Collier, really interesting kind of like little biographical essays and stuff like that. Here's Beset and Beach's Bedlam, which I think I probably got for the artist. Just look at those eyebrows. Those are just amazing eyebrows. A little bit more Daniel Close, his 8-ball comics, which are the true story of Leopold and Loeb. Round Icehaven with Random Wilder. 17. David Goldberg is missing. Violet and Love. The Hole. Rocky. 1000 BC. Seersucker. Yeah, so all sorts of interesting art. A very interesting artist, yeah, but kind of a little small town life and all the various stories going on within it. Another Swmp Thing. Apparently have a couple of floppies of the Swmp Thing. And then a Happy Pack, which is Happy Pack, 4 comics by Josh Simmons. Laugh hysterically and weep desperately to the malicious, deranged comics of Josh Simpson, where you'll find aggressive experimental takes on insanely ecstatic bunnies and the world they inhabit, the joys of scholastic enterprise, a dressing down of autobiographic comics, the true traveling shenanigans of a circus gypsy group, scary monsters, sultry ladies, laughs, and more for mature readers. Yes, and there's that circus group. Strong man triumphant. Love these independent comics and the various actual individual expressions you get. Crudely drawn, sometimes pure explosions of id. That's the kind of stuff that I look for in my comics versus probably the more corporate-y stuff that superheroes and their corporate mandates suggest, and the rather bland movies they can sometimes produce because of it. All right, I will leave it there so I can go and have my bath. I just needed to get a bookshelf tour in today before the end of the day. All right, more videos later.